Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you all so very much for being here and giving me the opportunity to come and welcome you all. I am Robin Arredondo Savage. I am a council member here in the city of Tempe. Actually, a 12-year council member in the city of Tempe and soon to be a recovering council member in the city of Tempe. So I just want to say thank you all so very much for taking the time. This is just a really exciting opportunity, and I want to say thank you to Team Tempe. So for those of you who don't know what Team Tempe is a collaboration of our City of Tempe Economic Development Office, the Downtown Authority, the Tempe Chamber of Commerce, and Tempe Tourism. And they brought together to this morning a great panel of wonderful business people that are here to share with you best practices, great ideas, maybe some things that you can do to get over some of the challenges that you're having. As we know, one of the biggest challenges that everybody is facing and that we continue to hear is hiring the right fit, the right employee for your business. Not only just hiring the right fit, but actually keeping them there. So I am very confident that you will all learn something that will be beneficial to your organization and hopefully something that you will be able to share and ask a lot of questions. These people are very smart. We're very lucky to have them here, and they've all done some really wonderful things to be very successful in what they do. And so I'm super appreciative for that opportunity. Now, just a quick little plug for the City of Tempe here. And I know this is going to go off script, Jill, so I'm sorry. One of the things I would ask for the businesses, that those that are here today in the audience and those that may be watching, we really care about the success of your business. It is so important that you are successful. And we know that you have challenges and we know that there are barriers, but at the same time, we don't know what we don't know. And so this Team Tempe, this collaboration, is just a really great way to be able to identify what some of those challenges are. And one of the things that the City of Tempe does, that you may not know this, is we do a business survey every other year to our local businesses. And I bring this up because last night we had a council meeting, and at that meeting, we utilized all the different tools to help us develop our budget for the coming years, to talk about what's really important, what we're not doing so well at, where we can have some growth. And one of those tools is this business survey. So we utilize that business survey to really understand what's important to you, what are those things that we can do better on, and it really helps us direct our funds to be able to address those issues. So whenever you get a survey or whatever you're asked as a business owner, a manager, a property owner, it is so important that we hear from you so we can do better. We want you to be successful. If you're successful, we're successful, and vice versa. So I really do appreciate you all taking the time to be here today. That means a lot. It knows that you care. We thank you for being part of our community, and just a great appreciation to the panel, to Holly, for everybody that is here today and all the work that you guys continue to do. So grateful that you are here to share your best practices with everybody here, everybody that may be watching today or maybe a little bit later. Please spread the word. Let them know that we are a resource. We want to be a resource. Thank you to Team Tempe for everything that you do. And I want to just take a quick second to welcome Colin. Colin is our newest CEO for the Tempe Chamber of Commerce. So welcome to the team, Colin. Very great to have you here. Yep. And I see that Michael Martin is here from Tempe Tourism. Thank you for you being here. I mean, like I said, just a really great collaboration. And so remember, when I talk about collaboration, we always say together we're better. And it's really true in Tempe. So thank you so much for the economic development team. Thank you, Jill. I'm going to turn this over to you in a second. Michael Martin, to Colin, and to Kate. I know she's not here from the Downtown Authority, but they work really hard to ensure that our businesses are successful and healthy. And it's great for our community too. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm going to turn it over to Jill, and I wish you all a very wonderful morning. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts and ideas.
Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Really appreciate your taking the time to be with us this morning. So we're going to take just a couple of minutes, if you'll take out your phones, please, and we're going to learn a little bit more about your businesses, what industry you represent, and what some of your challenges are. I mean, I think a lot of us know we're experiencing some of the same challenges, but you know, we learn from one another, and it's just an opportunity for us to kind of see who do we have here with us today. So you'll see there on the screen, you're going to want to go to menti.com and type in the code, And there are two questions we have for you. So if you want to go ahead and respond to that first question, and then soon after, we'll put up the second question. You can respond to that and tell us a little bit about your business and your industry. And we can just learn a little bit more about you. And I think folks at home can try this as well. We haven't done that before, but try it. Let's see how it goes. Jill, can you say that number out loud? Because I can't see it. We can't read it. Absolutely. So menti.com is the website. It's menti.com. And you're right, that number is a little bit small. 1372-8796. Again, the code is 1372-8796. I love to see how it keeps moving around depending on folks' answers. It's kind of fun. So some of the issues as we see, getting folks to apply, finding quality applicants, not just any applicant, but ones that really are the right fit for your business and the position. People showing up for the interview. That's even become an issue for some folks. We've heard that many times, unfortunately, recently. And people quickly leaving for another job. Yeah, the whole retention issue that we're going to talk about today a little bit as well. Okay, let's go on to the next question. So just tell us a little bit about the business that you represent. What industry are you with? Marketing, hospitality, nonprofits, technology, business services, government, retail, restaurant, hotels. Love it. This is a great combination of folks. Home health, electronic manufacturing. What a great combination. So a little bit of everyone. That's great. So we really hope you can find some great nuggets today in the information that we're going to share with you. Don't be shy. We're going to have a chance at the end to have some more interaction and have a shout out to you all and answer some of your questions or ask you some questions. But without further ado, then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Michael Martin with Tempe Tourism.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here this morning. My name is Michael Martin, the interim president CEO for the Tempe Tourism Office, and I have the pleasure of welcoming our guest speaker today, Holly Kurtz. Holly is the Director of Workforce Development at the Center for the Future of Arizona, with accountability for the Retail Career Pathway Sector Initiative and College and Career Pathways. In that role, she leads a multi-year project funded by the Walmart Foundation to establish a retail sector partnership in Maricopa County to improve career advancement opportunities for frontline retail workers. Previously, Holly was the Vice President of Talent Management at PetSmart, a pet specialty retailer headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona. Kurtz joined PetSmart in 2008 and was accountable for talent acquisition, talent management, internal communications, learning and development, leadership, and organizational development. Prior to PetSmart, Holly was with Wells Fargo and Company for 28 years as in various senior corporate HR and business line leadership roles. So Holly, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm short, so I'm not going to stand too much in front of the podium. So I'm excited to be here, and while you heard a lot about my background, my most favorite job I've had is right now working for the Center for the Future of Arizona. If any of you are nearing my age, you understand that working in corporate America for many years, oftentimes finishing out the arc of your career doing nonprofit work that's so important to our state and to our communities is a very rewarding and joyful experience. So, as Michael said, I'm with the Center for the Future of Arizona, which has the mission of bringing Arizonans together to build a stronger and brighter future for our state. So, while we do a lot of work in Maricopa County, including Tempe, we also do our work all across the state. I have accountability for workforce development, which includes Leadership Academy for workforce development professionals, includes Retail Works, really focusing on retail and hospitality and frontline upskilling of workers, attracting and retaining, especially important today. And then also accountability for our K-12 pathways. So how are we preparing the workforce for the future, especially in our high growth industries? We work a full spectrum of issues at CFA. And civic engagement, education, and workforce are a couple of those. Next slide, please. And next slide. So I just thought I'd set a little bit of the workforce employment context. And I will need to back up here and read it because I'm not going to be able to read it from here. But this is information that many of you know. So most recently, Maricopa County's employment rate decreased to 2.4%. So if any of you are feeling how hard it is to hire talent, here's a big reason for it. And that's in March compared to 3.3 for Arizona and 3.6 for the US. And of course, I think we've all seen in the news how Phoenix is a very desirable market for people to move to and live. And of course, the number of businesses that Arizona has been able to attract to this area. Unemployment claims continue to drop. It used to be we said, oh, nobody wanted to work because they got all that unemployment. Well, that's been gone for a long time, and the claims are way down. And the labor force participation rate has increased to 61.5%. That's important because we need to attract people off of the line. You know, we need to say we want more people to be participating in the workforce. That was much lower during COVID, as you can guess. So the more we have to participate in the workforce, the more workers we have to attract and to retain. And we'll talk about hidden workers in a minute. You know, as we all know, there's more job openings and workers looking for work, continued challenges with every new variant that comes up with COVID. It keeps people on the sidelines. People still have challenges with childcare, workers revisiting work purpose, and of course, making career pivots. So if I used to do this job, can I take some of those skills and do a different one? And then just a couple others. You know, we read in the press, employers are doing creative things every day to attract and retain workers, whether that's raising pay, adding benefits, tuition assistance, free tuition, all those kinds of things. And then we've got things going on around us like wars and inflation and gas prices that just continue to make it very challenging. Next slide. So most recently, CFA last fall did a big survey. So council member talked about the survey, business survey, and the importance of that. So the Center for the Future of Arizona hadn't done a survey like this for over 10 years. And it was done with all of Arizona. And we can break it down so you'll see Maricopa data. We broke it down into sections. And one area that we hadn't asked about before was jobs and economic opportunity. Next slide. And essentially what this slide helped us understand is what's important to workers. And even though the results of this came out kind of in the middle of COVID, I think the data is still really relevant. So I know it's hard for all of you to see. So if you look from top to bottom, these are the things that are most important and what people are most satisfied with in their jobs. So as employers start to think about how do I attract and how do I retain workers, these are some of the answers to that. So top of the list there is a diverse and inclusive work environment. And as we think about what's gone on around our country, around inclusion and different things, you can understand why that's at the top of the list for workers in terms of feeling like they belong someplace. Workplace culture. Every small business owner that I have talked to that talks about what has kept them be able to attract and retain workers is they have a unique special culture. They figure out how to bond with their workers and keep them. And that's what helps even if they don't have the pay and benefits level. Then mission and impact of my work. So how do you connect people to what your business is doing? Work leave policies, so important as we work through COVID, learning the importance of sick leave, flexibility, opportunities to grow my career in Arizona. So if your business isn't doing anything around helping connect people up to the next opportunity, whether that's in your business or elsewhere, top of the list, especially for our younger workers. And opportunities to advance education or training. I think every day another business, big business that can afford this, announces free tuition. So that's almost become table stakes for businesses. And then work benefits and pay. And so oftentimes we think that's the top of the list, and it is the top of the list if you're not being competitive around it, but it's not the top of the list for workers. Next slide. This slide is a similar data, but it's bifurcated by over and under 60,000. And it just helps you understand that it isn't a level playing field out there for workers. And so we really need to think hard. If you've got essential frontline workers in your organization, how do you speak to what's important to them and start to close that gap? And probably one of the biggest places is flexibility, because mostly our frontline workers don't get to work from home like the rest of us. So what are other things you can do to give them a sense of control? Next slide. So this all fits into something that is starting to be a movement across the country, and that's something called job quality. And that is, how do we as employers, and I like to think, how do we as employers in Arizona, Maricopa, Tempe, think about how do we make sure we have quality jobs? And a way to think about that is in these three categories. The first bucket is really kind of the table stakes things: pay, benefits, support. Job opportunities in the second bucket, so those are things like empowerment and support, learning and development, open communications. And then those things that can be a little more intangible in the third bucket. And this is where a lot of employers have been focusing on, is how can they help with this area, especially mental health services, childcare services, transportation, education. And so we now need to look at what our businesses offer, and even if we're a small business, offer, and how do we think about quality jobs. Next slide. This is some recent research from an organization called Humu that was started up by the head of HR at Google. And I think this is just a nice way to kind of codify what's really important. So as you think about what you're putting in your ads for workers or what you're talking to workers about as they apply for your jobs, these are some of the things that are most important. Learning, if you have learning resources, 4 times more likely to stay, 5.6 more times for clarity, trust, purpose, and inclusion. So if you want to pick out a few things that are most important, this slide helps you with that. Next slide. So as I said, where have those workers gone? And I said our participation rate was only at 61-something%. And so this is from some research done by Harvard and Accenture around hidden workers. And essentially what it says is we need to entice those workers off the sidelines. How do we think about who those workers are on the sideline? Because really, we're almost at full employment with our current unemployment rate. Next slide. So again, you can't read this from here, but these are some types of hidden talent, and they range from, caregivers. What if your business was able to provide school hours work? 9 to 3, drop off kids, pick up kids, and be able to do that. We worked with a hotel in Flagstaff where they were able to do that to staff their housekeeping staff, was to focus on that population. We're starting to see a lot, and the governor's done a lot around second chance hiring. So if you're able to look at formerly incarcerated who really leave with a lot of support systems in place, including training, that's another population to tap into. People who maybe don't have degrees, and you used to think they needed to have degrees. Do they really? So re-examining some of the requirements you may have for jobs. And that isn't about lowering standards, because by the way, and I was in HR doing this myself, when we had lots of people to hire, we just raised our standards. We said, oh, I can, get a bachelor's degree for someone to do, cashier work. Do I need that bachelor's degree for cashier work? Probably not. And so we have the opportunity to go back in and look at all of our requirements. What can we do to support the whole person? Diversity and inclusion, tapping into disability, veterans, elderly, working. By the way, the fastest growing workforce participation group is 54-plus-year-olds. So we have a lot of retirees here saying, I'm not done yet. I'm ready to go back to work. Now, some of that might be driven by costs with inflation right now, but that is our fastest growing group. Next slide. So these are some supportive actions. It doesn't mean that hiring some of these hidden workers, this hidden talent, doesn't come with needing to put some extra supports around it, and also how to think about enticing them. So align the job to the job task. I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of job descriptions where I can't understand what the job is. So really go back in and look at your job descriptions and understand what are they saying. Limit the skills requirement to the essentials. I'm as guilty as anyone wanting to hire the purple unicorn. I'm going to put everything under the sun in that job description, and that's exactly what I want, as opposed to thinking in reverse and thinking about what are the essential things I really need to be able to hire that person. And oftentimes that comes down being able to communicate, resolve problems, address the public, some things like that, collaborate. Limit the academic requirements, we talked about that, and use language that's inclusive and gender neutral. In particular, this is a place where we need to be more attuned to is how do we make sure that we're not using language that might be considered overly masculine or overly feminine, and that we're actually trying to focus on what are the essential skills we need. Next slide. So again, a long list that you can't read, but these are some things that you can see in terms of what kind of work environments. So, maybe you need to hire a person who doesn't quite have everything, but you could train them on the job. Or they might need to have a mentor in the workplace to be able to be successful right out of the gate. So some things in the workplace to say, how can you help these hidden workers come back and participate in the workforce? Next slide. So that's just a little context on what's going on in the labor market right now and some ways to maybe reframe what talent looks like, where to find that talent, how to support that talent, and bring them back to work. So at this point, we're going to turn to asking our esteemed panel some questions about this area. So I'm going to move back over here and start with... Patty and Jess. They're kind of in order, so I should have remembered that. So Patty and Jess, and you can either jump in or play off each other, what's working to attract and retain employees in your industries, hospitality and restaurant? So do you want to start, Patty?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you for having me. One of the things I like to reflect on is the fact that during the pandemic, we decided who were essential workers and who wasn't. And so we removed a good section of the non-essential workers. Those that came back to the industry were really those career seekers. The ones that were willing to come back and do whatever it took. The ones we lost and we've had a hard time getting back are the job seekers. Those are the folks that switch, they can pivot to a different industry. They have transferable skills, maybe for my industry, the hospitality industry or restaurant industry. They can work in a standalone restaurant instead of a hotel. So we've put a lot of effort in how do we pull back the job seekers so that we can make our hotels whole again. And one of the things I think for us, as far as attracting people into the hospitality industry, is rebranding and having a campaign and focusing attention on the marketing, not just of the destination and sales, but the rebranding the destination of the workforce and why it's a great place to work and what are the benefits and what are the perks. So we needed to re-engage and remind them what was glamorous about working in the hotel and restaurant aspects and jobs. So and once we've attracted them, we spend time on the job description. So maybe you have a sales pitch that you spend a lot of time on. Well, now we need to do a sales pitch on our job ads. So spending time on our job ads, where in the past we would just say front desk agent, sales manager, and think that people would just come to us. So now we have to restructure how we're selling to, now we're in people sales. We're not just in hotels, we're in people sales. So focusing on attracting customers by someone looking at that and saying, oh, that's me, I want to be, that's exactly what I want to be, that's where I want to work, it aligns with me. So attracting them But I also say things such as, as a community, and Tempe is a wonderful example of this, where it's such a great place to work. And I was just talking with Colin, and we were talking about, as a community, wouldn't it be great if we made it destination workforce? So we spend funds on destination marketing. I think it would be great if we spent funds on destination workforce marketing and look at things. It shouldn't cost an employee money to work somewhere. So maybe we look at, as a community, subsidizing parking, as a community offering shared discounts between our restaurateurs in the community. We already have a great transportation system with the streetcar as well coming in, which will really connect all the dots with the light rail. So maybe it's subsidizing that transportation. So there's so much there, and I don't want to take away from the panel's time, so I'll turn it over to Jess.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jess. I represent Cafe Boa on Mill Avenue. I've been in the restaurant industry for about 15 years, and to much of what Patty was saying is what we also are experiencing too, as far as kind of making sure that it's the employees' kind of pick of the choice now. So we sort of have to find our pivot and almost rebrand kind of what we've always thought our expectations were with a job or with finding or seeking jobs. But there's so much more competition, and as we kind of navigate through that, hiring is becoming harder with all the rising wages that we're seeing. So as far as the restaurant industry, at least speaking for our company, what we found is we found some luck with Indeed.com. So Indeed is a paid for online platform that you do have to put money towards, but you do get a nice selection of resumes. You do get to kind of be picky and write down what it is that you are looking for, and as far as filling those roles. There are still funding available for grants for hospitality or for restaurants or businesses that can be sought after to kind of help cover those funds that you must pay for in places like this. But Indeed has been decently successful recently. I think it's the kind of younger professionals' way of kind of being on technology and finding out who is hiring, where can I put my skills to work in that regard. We're also having to kind of pivot and see that that people do have options. So we have to kind of compete with all the other options that are out there. So if there are hiring incentives, we kind of need to look upon those and match those as well. We kind of do a longevity bonus incentive as well. So those who have stayed with us or been with us, we do find that it's very successful to kind of honor them and recognize them and say, hey, like, whether you have been with us for a little bit of time or a long time, you should still be recognized regardless, which we really should have always been doing from a long time ago. But now, post-pandemic world, we're seeing that's way more effective and way more appreciated, for sure.
Awesome. And I love the way both of you have talked about things that we saw in terms of what's important to workers in Arizona, and also what's important in terms of quality job, how that's really shifted with COVID. And you guys are both zeroing in on some of those most important. And I love the destination workforce concept, Patty. That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
More to come.
All right. So let's move to Lily and Ronell. And help us think about who are some of the hidden talent groups that you're working with successfully or you'd like to connect with. And for those successes, what do you think are driving those successes? So, Lily?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Liliana Yorenda, and I'm the Tempe Works Program Coordinator for the Tempe Works Program over at the City of Tempe. And just to kind of give you just a quick brief on the program of Tempe Works, we support individuals who are experiencing homelessness. And so our main objective is to try to get the individuals to become employed and into long-term housing, which will eventually hopefully lead them, to a better quality of life and a more stabilized state of being. And so it's a 90-day program. So through that through that program, individuals who participate through Tempe Works, they become employed in positions of agencies that we've partnered with, and with positions within the city of Tempe. So we have varying levels of positions, temporary and permanent. And so through the Tempe Works program, we've found quite a few partners that have been hidden talents for us, because they provide different resources that help to maintain the success of the participant in Tempe Works. So some of our partners, such as Tempe Community Action Agency, our homeless a homeless outreach prevention effort, which is our HOPE team. They provide that shelter piece and that housing plan for them to get into that stabilized housing. And then we've also partnered with agencies such as Corporate Job Bank. And then again, we have positions within the city of Tempe, as well as Downtown Tempe Authority, who's with us. Ronald is with the Downtown Tempe Authority, and he'll speak to that. But some of those partners, they help to give individuals resources that assist them with transportation, clothing, um, you know, bikes, and the individuals do have, some of them have various skill levels, so we do try to place them in an appropriate position for them based on their skills and education if they have one. But the main goal of the program is to make homelessness rare, brief, and one time. So we try to partner with local employers, with Downtown Tempe Authority being one of the main ones right now, to get individuals back into the workforce and hopefully, lead back to that stabilized way of living. So those are pretty much the partners that we have that are hidden talents. And so I'll go ahead and let Ron speak to the program and his agency.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Ron Stallings. I manage the safety and the cleaning team for Downtown Tempe Authority. Partnering with Lily and Tempe Works has been probably one of the hidden talents that we have not sought before, and now that we have already, we've only partnered since the beginning of March and have filled 2 of our positions with very skilled, highly motivated people that really are just trying to get back on track with their lives and just need that stability of a 40-hour-a-week job. And they come and they've brought new ideas to us, a new, invigoration for the job, wanting to be better in the community. So the partnership for us has been tremendous so far, and we look forward to, filling our positions and opening up. So going outside our normal, job seeking in Indeed and ZipRecruiter and all those normal ones that everybody's done, kind of wasn't bringing us the candidates we were looking for our job. So this was a very welcome addition to our recruiting efforts. And then being able to bring that in and have people be able to talk to employees that have been there. Over half of my staff have been there for 3+ years. So retention has been one of our focuses right now. As recruiting gets harder, we need to make sure that the people that we have feel appreciated and know that they are appreciated. So making sure that we do things for them continually and not just the people that are newly coming in. And people coming in, being able to talk to an employee that's been there for 3, 4, 5 years and is enjoying the job has helped with the recruiting effort as well.
Great stories around that. Good for you. And, if you look at all of those hidden workers on that list and you think, where are the resources for that? So, for example, you've got Lily there as a resource for you, but what about all the other hidden workers that are on that list? And, where could you tap into those here in Tempe to create a bigger, broader talent pool than you may just pull through some of the job posting sites? So, great. Thanks. Should we go next to Lori or Carter? Who's next?
Either one.
Carter, go for it. You're in the row.
Good morning. My name is Carter Ellis, and I am the Workforce Development Coordinator with the City of Tempe in partnership with Maricopa County and Arizona at Work. So my responsibility is I kind of view myself as a one-stop shop. So whether I'm working with the employers or whether I'm working with job seekers, I work with the job seekers from entry level all the way up to executive positions, assisting them in finding employment. I also work with several different employers in the valley. My primary focus is the City of Tempe to align my job seekers with the right fit for the employers. Things that I've done, and I know that people are actually looking for, what are some of the changes you're hearing from job seekers? I'd love to ask a lot of questions, whether it's the employer or the job seekers, about what they're actually looking for or transitioning into doing. So one of the things that a lot of people are looking to do now with the pandemic, and now that we know that it's getting better, is I'm seeing a growing population of job seekers that are looking to start a small business and become an entrepreneur. Another thing is a lot of people are looking to transition into in-demand industries, and some of these are mental health. Another one is IT and web development and data science. Becoming a CDL driver. CDL drivers are doing very well financially because of the shortage. And then individuals looking to go into production and manufacturing. Another perk they think for them is going to be companies with first, second, and third shifts, so people can save on daycare. That's becoming a challenge for people with the cost of living. People are definitely looking to save money here and there. And then I'm seeing another group of individuals that are coming in that actually have very livable wages, who are picking up a part-time job because of the cost of living again. What are
He's
they
asking the
looking for?
questions
I'm
that I
sorry.
should be
I'm
asking.
sorry.
No, you should. Go
So,
for it, Carter.
what are they looking for most in a job or in their work life? Number one, the questions that I ask, the responses are hybrid remote work schedule. The second is employment close to home. The third is work-life balance, not working long hours. The fourth is the employment culture, or the employer culture. Very important to people, training and professional development, salary negotiation, benefits, and the possibility for them to relocate to a different state.
Great. Thank you. And again, notice what he said, echoes of what we just talked about in terms of what's important to job seekers and culture, diversity and inclusion, pay and benefits, flexible hours, all those things. I think, one of the realizations is we're not returning to what the workplace and what expectations were like from workers before COVID. So we just kind of have to get over that and be able to say, okay, it's a different world. How do we now construct that world in our workplace? So thank you very much, Carter. And Lori, we're going to ask you about who are we missing? Who are we missing in this conversation? What are you hearing from business owners that you work with on this topic?
I think we've, in that list, which is a very great comprehensive list, and I hope people print that out and check it out if you're looking for people, but, missing workers, the hidden workforce includes, parents and immigrants and retirees that are looking for something to do, or maybe they just need a little bit of extra pocket money to help as prices increase over their fixed income. And don't forget about the health compromise, people that have to work from home. Maybe there's some tasks within your business that can be accomplished by somebody at home. And I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Lori Foster with Downtown Tempe Authority. We're the business improvement district for downtown, and I'm Chief Strategy Officer, and my primary role is to work with the street level businesses. And within the downtown district, we have right now about 168 street level businesses, primarily in the hospitality industry, restaurant, food and beverage. And what I'm hearing from a lot of the businesses, it varies, and it depends on their support structure. If you're someone like a culinary dropout or a postino, you have that corporate structure, you have HR, you have all sorts of perks and benefits, you have a well-established company culture to include, to hit that diversity and inclusion piece that people are looking for. Then you have the mid-level businesses that maybe have a couple of locations within the valley or within the state, and they have a little bit of capacity to offer some of those benefits. But the businesses I hear from the most that need the most help are the mom and pops. And in downtown, 68% of our businesses are small, local, independent businesses. So that's a lot of businesses that, the owner is the chief cook and bottle washer. And they require those frontline positions where you need somebody in the kitchen to cook or you need somebody at your counter. And so it's kind of like helping them realize, and I think there's a lot of resources here that are available. And I love your idea about destination workforce, because I think Tempe is a place that really cares about, as Robin said, businesses and people. And so maybe help businesses think about people as more, maybe they're not just a commodity. Maybe even if it's just a seasonal student employee that you have for a semester, maybe there's things that you can offer to help develop them. And maybe it's as simple as offering, hey, if you stay with us for 30 days, we'll pay your books, or we'll pay your tuition, or we'll throw you some meal cards, or whatever is important and whatever that particular employee needs. I'm hearing from some businesses, obviously a lot of young people, student population, on what they're looking for. They're looking for tuition reimbursement, help with paying with school. And then something new that's popped up in the last couple of months is mental health coverage or mental health resources, someone to talk to, even if it's just a session to sit with somebody and talk to, because they're working through a lot of things that, comes through in their personal and professional lives. So I don't know, I think even help with smaller businesses that maybe can think about establishing more of a culture, a mission, a vision, and giving a purpose for even student employees or temporary employees to really understand that they're doing more than just making tacos, that they have an opportunity to learn some things, learn some skills that then they can transfer over as they learn and grow. It's not just pay. You can see any sandwich board out on the street on Mill Avenue where you can work at Fuzzy's Tacos between 17 and 22 bucks an hour, and they still have open positions. So it's not just pay. And so, I would encourage people to speak with everyone that you interview and say, what's important to you? And if it's within your power to accommodate that or make that happen for that person, then you'll have someone that you don't have to replace within 30 days. And they'll retain, and they'll be like, this is a cool place to work. I'm going to tell my friends. And, I think it deals with culture, and it deals with valuing people. And frontline workers, I think, have gotten a short change for a long time, and it's, time to appreciate them. And I'll get off my soapbox.
I think we're all with you on that soapbox. And I would just add to what you said is that I think, especially with younger workers, they oftentimes view some of these entry-level jobs as transactional. It just fills my time, brings in a paycheck. But being able to help them understand what skills they're getting out of those jobs, especially quote unquote the soft skills, which really aren't soft, they're important hard skills. In terms of what they're getting out of it is a good thing to help sell them on around it. When I talk with employers and I ask, what do you want in a worker? It doesn't come up how to run a machine or do this. It's, I want a person who can talk to people, work with people, communicate, solve customer problems, be pleasant, show up on time. It's all those soft things. So I think being able to help, especially younger workers, understand what they're getting from those entry-level jobs is really, really important. So I'm right there with you, Lori. So Jill, I think now we're going to transition to audience questions.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you guys can hear me. My name is Colin Diaz. I was introduced earlier, the new president here at the Tempe Chamber. Very pleased to be working with Team Tempe as well as you all, and thank you for being here today. There were a lot of things that resonated with me. One thing that Patty and I were speaking about, and I think I've heard kind of the theme from this group, is when you look at culture, oftentimes I used to speak to businesses before the pandemic about how do you find employees, and a lot of it was starting with who you currently have. There's good referral sources, people that are working for you already know what the culture of your organization. I'd still say that's a pretty good area to start. But we want to make this to be interactive. So let's start with anyone in the audience that may have a best practice that you didn't hear today or something that's working for your business. If you want to show your hand, Jill has a microphone. If anybody wants to volunteer that, if not, and you have a question, you say, you know what, this didn't get asked to the panel. Okay, let's go to the back.
My name is Sophia Lovas, and I'm the store manager at the Sun Marketplace right here on 7th Street. One of the things that used to work for us in the past, and because of the pandemic, I don't have someone to do this anymore, is our social media presence was really fun and interactive, and our store is located next to the tour center for ASU. So that was like your first impression when you came to the store as well. And the people that I've hired would tell me that they knew they wanted to work at the store because they either saw us on social media or during the tour, our employees were really interactive with them. So now that's been really difficult. We have zero social media presence. It's like me at 3 a.m. on Twitter sometimes, and that's not consistent enough, right? But that's what used to work for us in the past.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia.
Anyone else want to add maybe something that's working for them or something that they're currently doing? Might be able to get some insight on. All right, what about questions for our panel? I've got a couple of others, but I'm just want to see if anyone in the audience has a few. Perfect.
Hi, I'm Dana Gillis. I'm with the Residence Inn just around the corner. I just going back, I think culture is such a huge part of the business. I think, you know, as I mentioned, we had to run with a really small staff during COVID, and bringing them back. Like, my most proud thing as a general manager right now is almost my entire housekeeping department is all of those folks all came back to me, right? Maybe not right away, but like slowly they might have accepted another job, but then they came back eventually. And I think it's the culture in your building that brings them back. But I will add, I do have a question. You have the list of like untapped or, workforce you're not thinking about. And I will say we've hired a refugee, which was amazing. She's a great hire. Happy to have her. And we have somebody else with special needs. But how do we find these people? Because they just happen to apply, but like maybe we're not going to all the sources. Like, how do we get them to come and say, hey, this is a great environment to join our team?
It's a great question. I will let anyone on the panel that wants to tackle that one first. Go ahead.
I would just add real quickly that doing the work, maybe there's somebody in the city could do the work to say, here's where you can tap into a vets organization. Here's where you can tap into Second Chance. Here's where you can tap into student populations who have gone through the National Retail Federation credential in high school. Being able to have that, and this is what we've encouraged in communities we work with, to customize that, localize it to your community so you know who to go to around those, as opposed to waiting for those folks to come apply for your jobs. Others?
Yeah, on that note, what I have found is some people are very intimidated by going to a hiring event. So if you're looking to hire specifically for your organization, I would host it at your location instead of going to a job fair where there's 30 or 40 employers, because people get overwhelmed, they get nervous, anxiety. So the people who are a little bit more shy are probably going to be perform a little bit better and end up showing up to your hiring event when it's at one specific location for just you as an employer.
And I'd just like to add, just kind of a shout out to Tempe Works. Several years ago, we had a person come to us and apply, and it turns out that he was unsheltered and participating in iHelp through TCAA. And we hired him, and then we hired his girlfriend, and they worked out really well. And so it was kind of a precursor to Tempe Works. And so we were like, wow, there's this whole population we never thought about. People that, just needed a second chance. Maybe they didn't have any particular job skills, and we happen to have a clean team that doesn't require a whole lot of skills, but can be taught on the job. And it also made us think about, well, if they start off, at one level, they're going to be looking for ways to grow and learn. And so what is that career path? And when Tempe Works came along, we jumped on the chance, and we've had a lot of candidates come and interview, and we've hired 2, and it's been really successful so far. So we're really excited about that. But it also makes us think about what other jobs within our organization and all of the things that we do could we move these people through. So if you start off on the clean team, and maybe we help you get your security card so that you can be a part of safety patrol. Maybe we give you some other skills and training so that you can go work in a parking garage or work in our parking enforcement or whatever. So it made us really think about a career path. And my advice would be ask your employees that you hired where do they get their resources? Who are their friends? Who are their service providers? Because there's probably more people that you could tap into.
I would also add, to piggyback on what Holly said earlier, we don't know what we don't know. So I will throw the chamber into this in terms of saying, sharing what those concerns and needs are. One of the areas that we excel in, I've only physically been here 3 weeks, but I know this to be true of the chamber, is all these connections. And so we might not be the solution, but be able to connect, whether it's to the city, whether it's with DTA, whether it's with Tempe Works or some of the other programs, to be able to address those. So a lot of it is just elevating those. This is the needs we have. We know that there's other sources out there. Can you help us connect to those? So I would, and I think, speaking on behalf of everyone up here, and they can shoot glaring looks if I'm wrong, but I think they would all say the same thing in terms of being approachable and trying to make those connections. So
I would just add that I know International Rescue Committee and Lutheran Social Services are good agencies that serve refugees if you're looking to hire refugees. And then Carter's been very humble, but his agency, Arizona at Work, Maricopa County, they have a variety of partners and resources and work with so many different folks, whether it's veterans organizations or helping to place people that have disabilities. So there are a plethora of information and resources and sources of talent. So I encourage you to check out their website and connect with Carter as well at Arizona at Work, Maricopa County.
Perfect. Any other questions? I know we've only got a couple more. So we'll go in the back and then we'll come up here. You got one right behind you, Joe.
Sorry, I'm an internship coordinator at Arizona State, and on Fridays I volunteer at the Potter's House here on campus. And as people are coming through, I'm wondering how I can refer them to Tempe Works program, and sort of what that process looks like. Potter's House is shutting down on May 6th, so we won't be serving individuals anymore there. And it's sort of that desire to okay, here I can find resources and refer you to places. And then what types of case management services do you have to really support them as they're growing through that position, holding their job, that kind of thing? Just sort of that wraparound program.
Sure. So Tempe Works is a program that's designated for individuals who are currently experiencing homelessness. So that's our target demographic. And so if we do have an individual who is experiencing homelessness, they can be referred to our program. I like to connect them to our Tempe Community Action Agency partner, as well as our HOPE team, because if they are not in a housing situation, that would be the first piece that would need to get done, as far as at least being in a short-term housing situation. It's just very difficult to employ individuals and want them to be successful if they don't have a place to sleep and shower. So if we do get those referrals, we go through a screening process with them and just talking to them about their skills, their education level. Some positions that we have don't require a high school diploma or a GED. So I try to fit those individuals into an appropriate position for them that matches their qualifications. And then once they do become employed, I provide that case management support throughout, just to make sure that they are consistently showing up to work, and if there's any resources that they need, because they might come upon some challenges as far as transportation or food, those resources, and so I try to help connect them to those resources along the way. One of the main things that we look for in employers that are wanting to partner with Tempe Works is for them to provide um, kind of a consistent supervision and mentorship, because as these individuals are going back into the workforce, they're trying to get back into the routine of going to work, showing up every day, and that is what we try to that's the message that we give to employers that are partnering with us. And then I try to provide, again, that case management support. And so along the way, I check in with the individual as well as the employer and make sure that they're both aligning as far as what the individual wants to learn as far as their skills, and also what the employer needs. So I just try to make sure they go through that program. And our program is not a day labor program. It's a 90-day program that the individual will be showing up to work every day, or whatever the employer schedules them to do. So again, just providing those resources to them hopefully leads them to that success.
Thank you. You've got a question right here.
Hi, I'm Evan Brom. I work for the city in IT and also lived in the city for a long time. With all the great success of economic development and the Chamber for Commerce, Tempe is almost a victim of its own success. We have lots of great employers moving into the city, but it also makes it really difficult to retain people as the temptations of moving grow. What have you done to retain, and what changes have you had to make to retain people as other opportunities have been growing?
Hello. From a hotel standpoint, I can say that what definitely changed is our flexibility with benefits to retain people. We now offer benefits to part-time employees, and we hadn't done that before the pandemic. We also offer a pay card, same-day pay card option. So you can get immediate pay if you're in let's say, a server position, and it's important for you to have daily pay just to kind of make ends meet. We make that available. We also have a debit card program so that we can deposit the employee's check straight into a debit card that they carry around, and they don't have to go through the hassle of going to a bank and cashing it if they don't have direct deposit. So we try to do a lot of options like that. I mentioned before parking, meals. We try to make it, and another conversation Colin and I were having, if you can make it talking about culture as if you're part of a family. As an example, I got home at 7 o'clock the other night. I went to bed by 9, and I reflected the next day, and I thought, I had 2 hours with my family, and the entire rest of the day was spent with my work and the people that I work with. So the concept of creating a sense of home and community, family meals in your break room, and sharing, breaking bread together, that goes a long way when you're building culture and trying to retain people.
All right, well, I would love to field more questions. We are at time, so I'd like to thank our panelists. And Holly, great job presenting and being our host and moderator, if you will. And thank you again to Team Tempe. One shameless plug, this is the first of hopefully many of these type of forums. We're gonna try to be intentional with the programming, so you'll have an opportunity in the future to engage in terms of what topics you'd like to see. Please take that opportunity to give us the feedback, because we would love to have that. But thank you for joining us today. Hopefully it's a great weekend, and we look forward to connecting with you in the future.